World War II ended 80 years ago this week. Surviving veterans of that war are now approaching the century mark or beyond.
David Poole of Stony Creek will be 101 in January. Today, he shared his modest take on his role in the war's end in Europe.
Everything was a new experience. Nobody was all poor me and none of that kind of stuff. We were all eager.
For a Sussex County farm boy used to doing his part, being drafted in 1943 was not something to make a fuss about. The Army trained 18-year-old David Poole as an airplane mechanic, and soon he found himself on the cusp of history.
We moved from England to Europe as the war progressed, and we kept moving. We were mobile. We lived in tents, and like I said, the old airplane could fly on any kind of runway, short.
By the spring of 1944, Poole said every soldier in the European theater was aware something big was coming. Still, he said the crew chief had little time to ponder the moment. His focus, keeping his C-47 transport plane in the air.
Everybody knew what it was. That wasn't any secret. But most of the other stuff for me as the crew chief, it was my responsibility to refuel the plane. Now, D-Day was different. Everybody knew what D-Day constituted, what it amounted to. And your part in it was just whatever it was. You drop troops or you pull gliders, and the next day you drop supplies.
Poole says duty was a reflex back then, and that meant absolute faith in the mission.
You never thought that you might not make it this time, or it might not be a successful invasion or anything. Just, we had no doubt that we were going to defeat Germany. I mean, that was just the mindset.
That mindset also kept Poole from worrying about what kind of target a plane packed with a fuel delivery might make.
I never thought about one bullet in a plane of gasoline would be the end of it. The German Air Corps was just about decimated by the time I was flying in 44. So we were fortunate that way.
Did you take fire?
No. No, I heard I was close enough. When we were laying up close behind the lines with a load of gasoline, in the process of unloading, you could hear the fighting going on. I was fortunate, just so fortunate not to have to be in the hand-to-hand fighting.
But reminders of the war's toll were unavoidable, especially when bringing U.S. prisoners of war back to England on gurneys.
That was a sort of a sad mission thing to do, because those boys some of them were in pretty bad shape. And like I said, we hauled them on litters. They weren't sitting, they were on litters.
But like so many of his generation, at war's end, the return to civilian life was immediate, and something like normal life resumed.
I played baseball at Virginia Tech with a degree of success. And our sophomore year, I needed money. I was living on $80 a month that the government sent me, and I was married. So I decided to sign a professional baseball contract. But at that time, I didn't want to go with the Yankees because they had Joe DiMaggio and several other outstanding outfielders. And I was already in my 20s. I was looking for some team that needed help. So I signed with Chicago, their farm system.
The dutiful farm boy returned to his beloved Stony Creek, Virginia, after 35 years with the power company that became Dominion Energy. And looking back, what might Poole consider his biggest challenge?
I told my wife and others that if I had stayed in professional ball, I would be dead by now. That's a tough life. What you eat, how you sleep, and all is tough.
Comes out of war and says the real tough thing would be on the road in the farm leagues of baseball. But he's really a special man, and an extremely modest one at that. And I'm really grateful for the time we shared.
Yeah, I bet. And it's just remarkable when you think about all that he went through, but yet he doesn't seem as though he's a hero. And we consider World War II veterans heroes.
Especially, I mean, he was there. He was part of the invasion. He was making it happen by supplying, by carrying. As he said, he did not take part in hand-to-hand combat, but he made it all happen. So thank you, sir, for your service and your time and trust. And for his 100th birthday, Poole was honored by the Virginia War Memorial earlier this year. There are an estimated 66,000 American World War II veterans that are still living.